It's funny how so many things change and yet some things remain the same, like the fact that I still don't have a proper gallery wall set up. My hope is that by next month, you will properly see actual frames and paintings on here, but I'm still working on it. I'm mostly just afraid of using a hammer and nail. But anyway, I decided to vlog for a month because this particular month was very, very busy for me. I hosted 3 different people throughout the month who all came at like different times. So I was basically like operating a hostel up in here. The first friend that I hosted is actually another booktuber. You might know her channel. It's called This Story Ain't Over. She's also publishing a book because she's one of the tastemakers for Bindery, which is like this indie press that gets tastemakers who are people in the book industry to basically select books to be published. And it's a new model that's very different from traditional publishing, and they had their inaugural event in the city. I hosted my other friend Melody, who has been an online friend for I think over 10 years. She wanted to visit New York, so we basically ate out a bunch, watched some musicals, mostly hopped around Manhattan, which you'll get to see. And then the third friend that I hosted was Brittany, who was one of the friends that I made when I traveled to Korea and Japan. And she came here during Halloweekend, which goes to show how old this vlog is, because I did indeed vlog this back in October and I am now posting this in February. We are in a totally different season now with winter. There's literally snow outside of my balcony, but we are gonna go back in time to fall because the first thing that I did, like starting in the month, was hike to Cold Springs. I did a day trip with my friend Levi. Basically, you're just gonna have to rewind a little bit to October. Maybe have it be some escapism from the way that 2025 is right now, because I do think this was probably the most recent time I was actively enjoying my life, because the rest of the year, and especially the new year, has just been riding the struggle bus the whole time. But hey, it's still the beginning of the year. Things can still turn around. I do hope that the rest of the year gets better so that I have like some pleasant things to vlog for as well. I did get off a video call just now where I was planning a trip in Europe over the summer with the friends that I made traveling to Vietnam. We're gonna do a mini reunion trip where we're going to Lisbon, Milan, and Zurich. So I'll definitely vlog that during the summer, and it will be like the one thing that I get to look forward to this year. If anyone has recommendations for those cities, let me know. In the meantime, I definitely have a lot of new languages to learn because I don't speak any of the native languages there. But that's why I'm glad that Rosetta Stone is sponsoring today's video. I feel like one of the many barriers for learning a new language is how expensive tutoring is and the lack of accessibility. So the cool thing about Rosetta Stone is that their lessons are immersive, and they design it in a way where it teaches languages by matching native speakers' audio to visuals and reading stories and participating in dialogue. Because if you just give me like a vocabulary list, that's not enough for me to go off of. There's a voice recognition tool they have called True Accent. It basically matches your audio to the audio of native speakers, and then it gives feedback on how well you're pronouncing your words.
Il bambino beve.
Il bambino beve. And what was extra appealing to me is that it is very much fitting for my schedule, because I feel like I only have pockets of time in between things I gotta do. So there are lessons that are short as 5 minutes. So I can do them in between my meetings or when I'm like walking over to the subway station. So if you are like me who needs to practice multiple languages, you might also be incentivized by their lifetime subscription deal, which they're doing a 60% discount for. All you gotta do is click on the link in my description to get the 60% off. Now let's start the vlog, starting with my trip to Cold Springs. bedroom. Some people get surprised at how pink a lot of things are in my home, but I am really just embracing the cuteness of having my own space. So like, why not have strawberry pillows, you know? That also leads me to the haul for things that I got for my bedroom specifically from Cold Spring. Cold Springs ended up being a very cute little town. I actually wasn't really looking forward to the hiking because I'm just not like a hiking girly, but I really see the appeal of it now because hiking in a really beautiful place where you see fall leaves and the weather is crisp and nice and cold, that's like the perfect environment for me. Now I see why the hippies are into this shit because I just found it so refreshing. The hiking that my friend and I did was also very easy too. Like I could have done double the amount. We hit like 10K steps and I was like, that's it. Like I feel like we could have done way more. So maybe if we go back again or try like another place in upstate New York, we could do something more challenging because I was ready to rumble. I could have kept on hiking. That was actually the highlight of the day for me, surprisingly. But the shopping part in like the actual town was pretty cute. They had, I usually don't buy a lot of stuff when I go window shopping, but I was just so charmed by this one thrift shop called Judy's Bungalow, and she curates a lot of really cute stuff that I was into. I don't like it when vintage stores or thrift stores have like too much stuff that you have to like sift through. I know people like the process of like digging through stuff to find something good. I don't like doing that. I like it when it's more curated. So like maybe the store is smaller and there's not as many pieces, but the pieces that you do see are really cute. I'll show you the first thing that stood out to me. I was so charmed by this little plate that you can hang. It's a plate belonging to a collection of, I'm assuming like teddy bears like these, and this one is called Sweet Little One, and this was made in 1996. The store owner was selling it for 14 bucks, but she gave me a discount for 12 bucks, which was really nice of her. It also came with a certificate of authenticity, so you know that shit is legit. This is an authentic Cherish Teddy sculpted plate. Aw, and it comes with a little postcard that says Cherish Teddy's Adoption Center. I just think this bear and like all the details in the background of the nursery that he's in is super cute, and it comes with this thing here for me to nail it to a wall. So I'm definitely gonna put it somewhere in my bedroom, and I have to make sure that I nail it on properly because I'm afraid it's gonna fall. I already think I might have chipped it, and I'm pretty sure it was not like this when I first got it. So this is already telling me how fragile it is. So I'm afraid, but look at how cute the little background portraits are, for example. You know, I just love the little design. I also got this that I'm gonna put somewhere on the walls around here. This was actually made by the store owner's stepfather. I just felt like it matched the decoration of my bedroom because obviously there's like a pink theme going on with all this cutesy stuff. I like that it's handmade and that it's one of a kind, and it has this personal connection to the store owner who was super nice. I was very complimentary of her store because I was like, this is the kind of store that I'm looking for. I don't want to have to dig around for good shit. I want to see good shit right ahead of me, and I like her eye for collecting this kind of stuff. Literally, look at my blankets. It's gonna be cutesy. It's gonna be cutesy up in here. What I really need though is like a big statement piece above my bedroom. I think I have like a poster that I got from Japan that could work, but it's just about getting the right frame for it. The rest of the month is still gonna be very busy because I am now gonna start hosting 3 different people in 3 different weeks. So I'll bring you along with me there. Contrasting today because on one hand I have very crusty hair that has not been washed in several days, and I also at the same time have these very cunty nails. So I will explain why that is the case in a little bit, but first I wanted to update how the Bindery book event went. So the Bindery book event took place actually near my workplace in my day job. It's near like Seaport at McNally Jackson, and it was basically the inaugural event for the very first books that are being published under Bindery. So if you don't know what Bindery is, it's basically this indie publishing press that recently launched, and their platform is a little bit different because the way that they publish books is through the power of like influencers and tastemakers. That's why like people like my friend and some other people that I know like on the book internet, they get to start their own imprint and they get to be editors and like read through manuscripts and choose which ones get to be published. The vibes that I get just from visiting the event seems to be much more community oriented, because there were like speeches that the authors gave that were very like sentimental and sweet, and they were talking about how much it means to them that their stories felt seen and heard by their editors or the tastemakers. And even the editors like gave their own speeches too, and how much they fell in love with the story. And I think that's the nice thing about going to book events, where you kind of like learn more about the people that worked on the books, and there's more like sentimentality that's attached to it. So it was basically like a night of social mingling and then speeches. There was cake for each of the books, and surprisingly each cake had like a different flavor as well. I wanted to show you the goodie bag that I received because the Bindery press was finally like launching with their first books that were being published. They made it on like the front cover of Publishers Weekly. On the cover they have Bindery's first season with the 4 books that they're launching, and then on the back you see the people that got to work on it. So where's my friend? She is here somewhere. So there she is over here. It was cool to like see people that I knew and also like meet people that I knew. Oh, also another person that I met at the book event was this agent that I almost signed with. When I told them that I was gonna pass on them, I said, you know, I still really care a lot about the books that you're representing and how you only represent marginalized authors, and I really want to support you in your career and like the authors that you support. So I would love to keep in touch and like keep an eye out for like the authors that you're working with and like see if I can support them in any way that I can. So actually the first ever book that this agent had signed for is And the Sky Bled, and I also got to talk to the author a while back when I was like reaching out to authors that had worked with the different agents that I was considering. I just wanted to get like second opinions of like their experience working with this agent and how it was. And so the author S. Hati had nothing but positive things to say about this agent. So it was just really cool that like, you know, I had known about them and we had known for each other and talked a little bit like online, and we finally got to meet in person. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about like the individual books, and then you can add them to your to-read list if you are interested. So first, again, starting with And the Sky Bled. I talked about this on my channel a few times before. This is a climate fantasy where literally like blood is raining from the sky, and you're following 3 different characters. So the blurb for this is: amid the chaos of a dying city ruled by colonizers, 3 rivals, a thief, a slumlord, and an heiress, race to find a hidden cache of magic that will decide the city's fate. And she was very kind to also sign the book for me as well, and said thank you for your support. And apparently when she was like signing a lot of her book copies back in the day, like way before the book event had happened, she was telling me that she was like playing my videos in the background while she was like signing all the books. So I thought it was sweet that like we knew of each other and then we finally like met in person at the event. There was another book where I thought the cover was really beautiful, Infernal's Heir by Tiffany Wang. She gave a really sweet speech about how she was very appreciative of the editor that picked this book because the main character is someone with a lot of flaws. And so because the editor really fell in love with the main character and wanted to like give that main character a chance to show her story in a way that was also like giving a chance to the author herself. And she was like tearing up and everything. So it was like a really big deal for her. So the blurb for this is: fearing for her life, an outcast princess joins the rebellion against her own kingdom and family, but when playing with fire, someone always gets burned. So there is also Strange Beasts, which has also a really cool cover. In this fresh yet familiar gothic tale, part historical fantasy, part puzzle box mystery, the worlds of Dracula and Sherlock Holmes collide in the thrilling exploration of feminine power. The editor for this one was talking about how they were just reading this manuscript in their bathtub, totally absorbed with the story. Lastly, there is is House of Frank. The author that was giving this speech, Hay Sinclair, they gave an anecdote about their mom telling them a story when they were younger about how like good things will take time. And I think in publishing, there is pressure to be like a young prodigy, and they have written for a very long time, and now it's kind of like their chance, like now that they are in their 30s, to finally like publish a book. The timing just has worked out for them the way that it is. And I agree with that sentiment as well, because if I had published any of the stories I wrote in my early 20s, you guys would have like roasted me for that shit. I just really like the sentiment of like taking your time to publish a book. The editor for this one that chose the manuscript said that it was almost like a cozy fantasy, but really ties into heavy themes like grief. So it's like a warm, comforting hug on your worst day. That was the way that he described it, which I like that sentiment as well. So the blurb for this is a warm and hopeful story of a lonely witch consumed by grief who discovers a whimsical cast of characters in a magical arboretum. That's basically the update for the event. And now my hostel of a home does not end because I have a new guest.
I'm the second visitor.
So this is Melody, who you might, if you had been watching my channel for a really long time, she was in my shoujo manga / anime recommendations. We used to do that like I think 2 or 3 years ago. So the reason why my nails look like this is because I was like, okay, while Melody's here, I want to be like a cunty little girly pop and put on nails. And she also likes nails, so she was helping me put them on literally before I started filming. The reason why my hair looks crusty is because after I take my work meeting, we're gonna go to Chinatown and try out this salon that went viral on TikTok because they do a haircut and blowouts for allegedly $35 plus tip. We'll see. I've heard $35, I've heard $45. Either way, I still feel like that's a decent price in New York. Basically, she's here for the weekend and she just wants to try out like food stuff. I'll take you along with me as we explore around Manhattan. We're probably gonna mostly spend it on eating a bunch of good food. Let's go. Bye.
But that's okay. Because you're here with us now. Open your mouth and receive this absolution because it's actual vodka. Take energy.
Fortunate than I, and let's face it, who isn't less fortunate than I?
Untying the corner pieces of my duvet cover always takes forever because I guess I just tie them too tightly and then I have to spend forever trying to untie them. So we'll see what I end up finishing first, untying all 4 corners of my duvet cover or finishing this vlog update. Anyway, I was so busy hosting Melody and then hosting Brittany that I haven't had a chance to pretty much update what has been going on. As you saw from the B-roll, a lot of eating out, a lot of going to unexpectedly Broadway musicals. I was just entering a bunch of Broadway lotteries and hoping that I get in, and I'm assuming that it's easier to get in the less popular Broadway musicals that aren't as relevant right now, because I ended up winning tickets for Six, the musical, when I was with Melody, and then Moulin Rouge when I was with Brittany. So Melody has already seen Six, but she loves it so much that she wanted to watch it again. I had never seen it before, and I had no idea that it was gonna be like basically like a concert. So rather than like a traditional play, it's only 6 actresses that are singing about their lives as the wives of King Henry and competing over who had it the worst. And there is kind of like a narrative that's strung in there, but for the most part, it's basically like a concert. It was very fun, very loud, very vibrant, but I am glad that I only paid lottery prices to see it because it was only an hour long. So I feel like paying full price to see that would have been something that my frugal mind would have been like, sorry, but I don't think paying hundreds of dollars is worth seeing only an hour-long musical. It's all good because it was only $45. However, Moulin Rouge that I saw with Brittany, I absolutely loved it. I heard that the movie is a lot better, but I'm glad that I hadn't watched that prior to the musical because I came in just raw dogging it. So was Brittany. She didn't know anything about the story, and we both realized that we much prefer maximalist performances, because if you are gonna pay Broadway prices, not that we did, but you know, theoretically speaking, if you're gonna pay Broadway prices, let's go all the fucking way with these stage performances. There was just constant choreography, dancing, lighting, songs, but there was still acting. There was like a story from beginning to end. It was 2.5 hours long. The set design was so fun. They were constantly changing the sets. Other than that, Halloweekend was so fun. This was the first time I truly celebrated Halloween and was in New York, because all the previous years I just happened to be traveling and I would miss out on celebrating it. And it was really fun because not only was Brittany visiting, and for context, Brittany is one of the travelers who had come with me for the group trip for Japan and Korea. Not only was she visiting, but I have a bunch of friends that had traveled with me on those group trips that live in New York, and there was one friend who used to live in New York and was part of our group, but then she recently moved to Florida for her job. But then for Halloweekend, she decided to come visit us. So we were just like a big group, and we were celebrating together on Friday night by going to a Korean pub in Koreatown where we had watermelon soju and a bunch of yummy Korean food. The fried chicken was really hitting. Then we had mochi donuts afterward, and then we went to $3 Bill, which I'm realizing is my favorite venue. And I'm saying this as someone who does not typically enjoy clubbing, but I feel like it is a high compliment for me to actively enjoy clubbing when it is in the $3 Bill venue. They are a gay nightclub, and every time that I have visited them, I've always had a good time. First time was during Shrek Fest. That was a couple years ago, but that was so fun. They were basically drag queens that were performing as different characters in Shrek. Second time I went was when they were doing a Chaperone and Charlie XCX combination as Midwest Brat Princess, and that obviously was really fun. I think I featured them in my previous vlog or in 2 vlogs ago. And then now this time they were doing just like a pop girls night, and the drag queens were of course amazing. And the songs are just so good. Like, I just love the way that they remix the music together. At one point they remixed the Crazy Frog song with one of the track listings for Brat, like 360 by Charlie XCX. That was a genius move. I truly felt the contrast the next night when I went to my friend's party. It was like an invite only party, and it was like in this underground basement at a bar, and my friend's crowd was all straight people. The vibes were totally different. Both the men and the women almost seemed to kind of like be checking each other out to see if the other were like attractive or not to pursue. Whereas like when you're in a club like $3 Bill, you're just busy having fun and enjoying the music. The music music at the straight party, there wasn't even any lyrics. It was just like techno, I guess, but not really anything you can vibe with. But I mean, I was high both times, so it doesn't really matter to me. Like, as long as I'm high, I'm just gonna be vibing with whatever. Okay, hold on. I'm sitting down because I'm tired of standing. It's taking forever for me to untie this. Anyway, it was more like an anthropology experience because I was like, wow, there's such cultural differences between a gay party and a straight party in terms of like the music, the vibes, what people are there for, the kind of dancing involved. It was just interesting from like a third party perspective. Anyway, it seems like I'm gonna end this vlog here. Sure enough, I have not finished untying this corner here. This, I guess editing Cindy will have to zoom in to see, but this is impossible. Well, I'm not gonna torture you by letting you watch me do this for like the next hour, but thanks for hopping along and I will see you next time. Bye.